One thing you may not know about me is that I'm slightly obsessed with Valiant Comics. Now this is a company that started publishing in the 1990s, briefly got very popular, actually rivaling the market share of Marvel and DC, but unfortunately their parent company made some questionable financial decisions and they abruptly went under, only to disappear from the minds of comic readers for a good 2 decades, until 2012. Now that's when I hopped on the Valiant bandwagon, and I have been happily riding it ever since. Many of the comics that Valiant have published since their 2012 relaunch have gone on to become some of my favourite of all time. So to give you a little flavour of that content, let's do a quick speed run of the 4 major characters that kick-started the new Valiant universe. Manowar. Arik is a Visigoth warrior from the year 400 AD who gets abducted by an alien race called the Vine and enslaved on their giant spaceship, which seemingly does not obey the standard passage of time, because years later, when he bonds with their sacred armour called Shanhara, he returns to Earth only to find that it is present day and he is a real fish out of water. He goes on to become the superhero known as Manowar. Harbinger's story about a group of teenagers with remarkable abilities under the watchful eye of a powerful mentor figure may well sound familiar, but make no mistake, this is not an X-Men ripoff. The lead character Peter Stanchek is a recovering addict with a questionable moral code, while the mentor figure is none other than Toyo Harada, a ruthless businessman whose own powers were activated during the horrific atomic bomb that was dropped on Hiroshima in 1945. He will stop at nothing to achieve his goals. Archer and Armstrong. Archer is a naive teenager raised in a religious cult whose sole purpose growing up was to kill Armstrong, aka Aram Anipada, an immortal being whose sole purpose these days is just to enjoy all of life's many pleasures. They must form an unlikely partnership when the fate of the world is at stake, and it becomes as heartfelt as it is funny. Bloodshot. Imbued with state-of-the-art nanites that give him superhuman combat and healing abilities, Bloodshot is the ultimate weapon, but it came at a price. His experimentation at the hands of weapons firm Project Rising Spirit has left his mind in a complete state of disarray, filled with implanted fake memories and traumatized by his horrifically violent missions. That is just a small taste of what Valiant has to offer. Their universe has grown exponentially larger over the years, spreading to all corners of the globe, and from the dawn of man all the way up to the year 4001. It is a truly special creation and I hold it very dear, which is why I'm so worried. A Bloodshot movie is hitting cinemas in February of next year, which was initially intended to kick off a Valiant Cinematic Universe, which would next see a Harbinger movie leading to a crossover of the 2 films, an adaptation of Harbinger Wars. That was the plan at least, until news broke recently that Valiant has abandoned Bloodshot with Sony and taken their remaining intellectual property over to Paramount to set up a cinematic universe over there. And I think I know why. Not to sound overly negative, but pretty much everything about the Bloodshot movie sounds fucking terrible. I mean, they've cast Vin Diesel in the lead role, for crying out loud. Look, I like Fast and Furious as much as the next person, but Vin Diesel can barely act, and although one part of the Bloodshot character is just being a muscle-bound action man, there is a softer side to the character which I think Vin Diesel would be incapable of portraying well. The director they've got for this is Dave Wilson, who has literally never directed a feature film before. He has a background in visual effects, so I think there's a chance the film could look really cool, but that really is only half the battle. Finally, the screenwriters are Jeff Wadlow and Eric Heisserer. The former has a filmography which is a complete clusterfuck mess, whereas the latter does have a few good films, but I feel like the fact that they're working together on this means it could go either way. Certainly the fact that Valiant have essentially disowned the project months before it's even released does not seem like a ringing endorsement. Now they've said that over at Paramount they're going to set up the cinematic universe and it's going to be largely the same as how it was originally planned at Sony, because Bloodshot wasn't going to have a huge role in it anyway. Well, I call bullshit on that. It doesn't make any sense. Why would you kick off the universe on a character that isn't going to have a big role in it? Doesn't compute. I just feel that for this to happen, something must be seriously wrong. And look, I'm sick of cinematic universes, and I think most people are, but if there's one more that genuinely deserves to be successful, it would be Valiant. They have got a bounty of stories that deserve the blockbuster treatment. But unfortunately it's looking like not only have they stumbled out the starting blocks, but they've actually fallen face first into a pile of shit. And that's why I'm worried about the Valiant Cinematic Universe.